Hi, everybody. Today we are talking about breaking caregiver promises. Now, if you watch my videos, you know that I like to talk about both sides of the questions that caregivers pose to me that I answer through these videos. So today we're going to look at promises that caregivers make to elderly parents, grandparents, spouses, other people in their lives. But equally important, the promises and goals that caregivers make to themselves, to their lives, and how these affect the caregiver, and also the quality of care that is provided to all of these other people in the life of the caregiver. So in the context of this video, I like to kind of frame these. We're going to talk about the idea of making commitments and promises and what that means. How do we understand really what we are promising to do or what we are committing to do, which in caregiving can be a bit of a challenge? And number three, what to do when you can't keep a promise that you made or a commitment that you made. I'm Pamela D Wilson. My website is PamelaDWilson.com. Please press the share button on this video. Share it with other people you know who are looking for hope, help, and support regarding aging, health, family relationships, and everything in between. On my website, you will find articles, ways to schedule individual one-on-one care consultations with me, my podcast, The Caring Generation, my blog, online courses, a lot of helpful information. So what does making a commitment or a promise in caregiving or any area of life really mean? So first look at yourself. So are you a person who makes a lot of promises or makes a lot of commitments? You say, oh, I'll do this. I'll call you. I'll take care of that. I'll do this. If you tell somebody that you're going to do something, do you actually follow up and make that happen? And what percentage of the time do you do that? So look at your life situation. Do you ever have people say to you, oh, you told me you would do that and you didn't do it, or you didn't follow through, or I was expecting you to do this? Well, if you're hearing that, that means that you may be making promises or commitments and not really realizing that you're making a promise or a commitment to somebody else who takes you seriously. If I asked one of your best friends, would they say, oh yeah, John or Susie, they follow through all the time. They're honorable. They do what they say they're going to do. I don't have to worry about that. Because in today's world, it truly is hard to find people who do what they say they're going to do or follow through on their commitments in personal life. Now at work, it's different because we have all of these goals and things that we're supposed to do, and we have deadlines and timelines, and we're just supposed to get them done. So sometimes we may treat our work life very differently from our personal life. And in our personal life, we may say, oh my gosh, at work, I have so much to do that I have to commit with, and I have all these timelines. So in my personal life, I'm just not going to commit to anything. Well, commitments can be big or small. They can be like, hey, I'll call you tomorrow. And then do you call? Or if you can't call, then do you send a text, say, hey, I can't call. I got caught up. I'll call you tomorrow. Or they can be these big commitments that is taking care of a parent and going to doctor appointments and picking up prescriptions and cutting the lawn and doing all these kinds of things. So when we look at promises and commitments, there are some traits that we can strive to have, or maybe we have them already. But it relates to really our personal character and our ethics and how we were brought up and having integrity, which means that we are honest and if we say we're going to do something, we follow through. We don't make commitments that we can't keep. We try to have good relationships with everyone, which is very important in family caregiving situations. And so when it comes to these bigger commitments to care for aging parents, it's an area where adult children kind of just start doing these things. And then you get yourself in trouble because you didn't realize that, this was going to be a 5-year commitment or a 10-year commitment. And you can't possibly know what's going to happen in the future for everything. And so sometimes you made this promise or commitment to say, oh, I'll never put you in a nursing home, or, we'll keep you in your home forever. But you don't realize what that time commitment is, what the expense is, what the cost is to your personal life and your career and your marriage and your family. And then on the other hand, what commitments have you made to yourself and your family if you're married and your children? Did you commit to going to college? Did you want to get married? Did you want to have children? Lose weight, be healthy. There's so many commitments that we make to ourselves that we don't keep because we don't have a plan to keep them. Or sometimes we make these goals and we don't really realize what it takes to get there. So for caregivers, self-care should be a promise that you make to yourself. Because if you cannot take care of yourself day to day, your health, your well-being, your emotional well-being, your physical well-being, you really can't take care of aging parents to the degree that they are going to need you to do that, because their care needs are only going to increase and increase and increase. And if your health is going this way and their care needs are going up, you have this huge life imbalance. So caregivers, what promises will you keep to yourself? How will you hold yourself accountable over the years to do these things? Or do you find that you have these goals and it's 6 months later or 12 months later and you think, oh gosh, I was going to do that this year and the year's gone by and I really haven't accomplished anything? Well, that can happen to a lot of us because we get so busy. So sometimes we really do have to push ourselves to focus our attention and to limit all of these distractions and all this stuff that's going on outside. It's also important in caregiving relationships not to blame parents for not taking care of their health or not eating right or not exercising, and taking accountability for those things for ourselves. So not making excuses like, oh, I couldn't exercise today because, mom or dad called and I had to take a phone call. Well, the phone call is important. You're important. Balance the importance. Don't do one of these things where something else puts you at the bottom of that list. So another part of promises is to understand what exactly you're committing to. And when most people get into caregiving, you have no idea what you're committing to because you don't even see yourself as a caregiver when you start. You might just be helping out with little things around the house, groceries, mowing the lawn, doing some home repairs. And those things then translate into doctor appointments, picking up prescriptions, medical care, calls at 3 a.m. from your parents, calls 5 times a day from your parents at work because they need help with things that are really important to them. And so part of this understanding what you're getting into is research. What might my parents need in the future? How is this caregiving situation going to change? If their health changes, what does that do to the caregiving situation? So without asking yourself these questions and then having a plan for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is what I think is going to happen, you can put yourself into these situations where you made all these promises and you didn't know what was going to happen. So then what happens is you're going through all of these activities day to day and you're trying to balance your life and your work and your dog and everything else. And you feel so stressed out that you cannot manage. And so the things that you should ask yourself to define commitments in any area of your life really is, what do I want to accomplish? What happens if this changes? So what happens if a parent needs more care? Who's going to be that caregiver? Is there money available? Who can make medical decisions? Who can make financial decisions? Are my siblings going to help, or is this all going to be left on me? And if I can't do it, then how can we get that help? Do we have to go outside of the family? And then for you, if you are looking at your life and you're seeing all this happen to your parents and you're thinking, wow, this could happen to me when I get older, how do you manage your career path, your job, your ability to earn income while you're doing all this? Who will care for you when you're older? And much of this depends on our willingness to be open-minded and research, and to even look at in our own lives, where do we spend our time and our attention? Is it on positive endeavors, or is it with people who are constantly struggling? Our kind of learning ability in life is truly unlimited. But sometimes we can hit this ceiling where we are with people who are either at our level or below our level. And that's not a bad thing because those are our friends, right? But if we want to get up above that, we have to spend time with people who know more than we do, who've accomplished more than we do. We have to be willing to admit that we're not quite there yet, but we would love to get there. So this kind of takes us into, what do you do when your life situation is such that you're being held back or your life is being postponed because you're caring for someone? And this is mostly in respect to adult children caring for grandparents or aging parents. Spouses, it can be a different situation because you may be in the same life stage. But if you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years younger than the person that you're caring for, you have a lot of different goals. So there may be promises or commitments that you made that you cannot keep. And so how do you manage that? The short answer is the sooner that you realize that you may need to change what you're doing and that effort and accept that you need to make that change. Okay, so change is scary, and sometimes we don't want to disappoint people by making a change, right? So we have to kind of get it up here that this is a change. It's going to be good for everybody, and I'm going to do it. And so you kind of replace that goal that you've set, caring for parents, with a different goal. It's not like you're not going to take care of your parents or you're giving up on them, but maybe you need to have someone else involved. Maybe they need to go to a care community. Maybe it's time for that change. And so when we can kind of accept that and be flexible and not look at that change as, oh, I'm failing, I'm doing a bad thing because I can't continue to take care of my parents, but knowing that it's a change that is good for everybody, okay? It's good for my parent. It's good for me equally, not this lopsided relationship where it's only good for your parents and it's not good for you, or vice versa. Accept that there's going to be a change and that it can be a hard change for everybody because nobody likes change, especially people who are in their routines, right? But that this outcome is going to be better for everyone involved. And so here's wishing you success to looking at your caregiving situation realistically, to making sure that it's as balanced as possible, and to realize that if you've made a promise and life situations have changed, sometimes those promises have to be broken. But then you just make a replacement promise or a replacement goal, not totally abandoning the situation, but bringing a little more balance into it so that your life can be better. You can feel better physically and emotionally. Your parents get the care you need, and it's good for everybody. I'm Pamela D Wilson. Thanks for being here watching this video. I so appreciate you. Please, again, press the share button on this video. Visit my website, PamelaDWilson.com. There is a lot of hope, help, support for caregivers and aging adults there. Have a fabulous day today. I'll see you all again soon in another video.